students, good morning. Today is Thursday, April 3rd, last day of April. You have a test or quiz today due by 3 p.m., but I just wanted to go over and review with you some things. But first off, let me remind you that we do have a Google Hangouts at 10 a.m. If you want to ask any questions for your quiz, please do. Okay, maybe you want to start your quiz at like 9:30, and then you can ask me questions about it during our Hangouts. Remember, you have 2 hours. Once you get started on your quiz, you have 2 hours to complete it. So we're talking about conditional statements. Conditional statement is always written in the if-then format. If something, then something. In this example we're using is if an animal is a Dalmatian, then it is a dog. That's a true statement, right? If you see an animal walking, it's a Dalmatian, you know automatically it's a dog because all Dalmatians are dogs. But remember, not all dogs are Dalmatians. Think about that. Okay, we use P and Q. So what's in bold is like your cheat right here. Okay, so the first part, the P, the Dalmatian part, is called our hypothesis. The Q part is called our conclusion. If this part is true, so if this part is true, then we conclude that this part is true. Okay? So we have a converse, we have an inverse, contrapositive. I'm going to leave this page open. This is going to be our cheat sheet. I say you write this down while you do your topics. The first topic here is asking the statement, I am in geometry class. A negation here is just when you add a not to something that makes this false, so that you're not in geometry class. So if the statement is I am in geometry class, I am not in geometry class is the opposite, the negation of it. Now, it is not the case that I enjoy geometry class. It has nothing to do with it because we're not talking about enjoying. We're just talking about being in the class, okay? Now, conditional statement, right? If Michael's in England, then your conclusion is Michael's spouse is happy. It's kind of a funny statement. The hypothesis, remember, the hypothesis is always the beginning part. It's this part. It's before the comma. Okay? So Michael is in England would be your hypothesis. The conclusion is the second part. Michael's spouse is happy. Okay, so let's check this. Let's cross our fingers. All right, we did it. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's get this started. All right, so our conditional statement is written right here. If a square has side lengths of 3 inches and a square has a perimeter of 12. That's a true statement right there. So I'm going to start with the converse right here. So for converse, all we do is we switch the Q and the P and the Q. So I'm going to start with this part. Okay, this is going to become my P, my hypothesis now. So if a square has perimeter of 12 inches, then it's going to be this part now. A square has side lengths of 3. Okay, so all I did was just switch the P and the Q. A contrapositive, let's go back. Contrapositive is going to be the converse statement type 2, but with negations. Okay, so I'm going to look at my above statement right here, and I'm just going to put a not in it. A square does not have a perimeter of 12 inches, then a square does not have side lengths of 3 inches. The inverse here, okay, type 3, the inverse is just your conditional statement, but with negations, right? I'm going to underline the nots here. Oops. Okay. So, square height does not have side lengths of 3, and the square does not have perimeter. Okay, that looks good. Let's check it. Cross our fingers. Woohoo! I'll do one more with you, okay? So now the converse, going back to page, converse is just the P and the Q switched. So let's look at our conditional statements. You're always going to be given one of these statements, okay? And like I said a couple days ago, I really wish we were in person so I could do this with you in person because this is kind of fun, these riddles. If 85% of a parking lot is paved, then more than half of the parking lot is paved. Yeah, that's true. So the converse, coming back, converse is simply switching the P and the Q. So more than half, if more than half the parking lot is paved, then if the parking is paved. The inverse for B, inverse is just your conditional statement with negations. So I'm going to look at the statement above. Pave, oops, no. And then contrapositive, the last one, is going to be your converse with negations. So, like that. Okay? Wait. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, let's check it. Cross our fingers. I say, guys, like pause the video right now and write this stuff down. Okay, the P and the Q part. But always make sure you identify this part first. All right. I think you guys can complete the rest, okay? All right, good luck on today's quiz.